Rock and roll is built on myths. The swagger, the chaos, the larger-than-life personas. They all contribute to the legends we think we know.
And I'll do it. It was the first time that I'd really looked forward to playing the drums since Nirvana had ended.
But behind the sold-out stadiums, the platinum albums, and the screaming fans, there are stories that rarely see the light of day.
I can remember just going up the fields on my own and sitting there for like 3 hours.
These are the untold truths of the most legendary rock stars, revealing the complex and often surprising human beings behind the myth. Get ready, because the stories you're about to hear are stranger and more fascinating than any rock and roll legend.
I'd like to say to you that you've been one of the best audiences that we've had. The kids on stage, we really appreciate it.
When Elvis Presley took the stage on June 26, 1977 in Indianapolis, no one in the 18,000-strong crowd knew they were witnessing the end of an era. But the date itself was eerily significant in Elvis's life. It was his manager, Colonel Tom Parker's birthday, the same date he was first called to Sun Records in 1954, the day he spent his first night at Graceland in 1957, and 2 years after his own death, the date his father would also pass away. During that final performance, a bloated and unwell Elvis brought his father, Vernon, on stage to wave to the crowd, a poignant, unplanned moment. He closed the 80-minute show with Can't Help Falling in Love, and his last words to the audience were, "We'll meet you again. God bless. Adios." Less than 2 months later, the king was gone.
I think it's fantastic. You see, country music was always a part of the influence on my type of music anyway.
The man who had once been a symbol of youthful rebellion was found face down on his bathroom floor, a tragic end for a legend who, in his final days, was a shadow of his former self, a man whose incredible life was bookended by strange, recurring dates.
Why, I always wondered because it seems so natural to me, but I don't know, it's not feminine maybe, that's why.
The last thing Janis Joplin ever recorded wasn't a gut-wrenching blues ballad, but a happy birthday song. Just days before her death on October 4th, 1970, she and her band Full Tilt Boogie were in a Los Angeles studio and spontaneously recorded a birthday greeting for John Lennon. It's pure, uncut Janis. A raucous, joyful performance ending with her signature wild laugh and the words, "Happy birthday from Janis and Full Tilt Boogie. Happy birthday, Johnny." She was supposed to return to the studio that Sunday to lay down vocals for Buried Alive in the Blues, but she never made it back. Lennon would receive the tape in the mail only after he had already learned of her death from a heroin overdose at the age of 27. She was found wedged between the bed and nightstand at Hollywood's landmark Motor Hotel. It's a haunting final document of her vibrant spirit. The woman who once knocked Jim Morrison unconscious with a liquor bottle after he assaulted her, who paid for her hero Bessie Smith's tombstone, and who left $2,500 in her will for a massive wake for 200 of her friends, signed off not with a scream, but with a laugh.
Come at you with a different attitude, and that's sometimes awkward, but it doesn't happen too often, really.
Yeah, not too often.
With people who are our friends.
By the end, Layne Staley knew exactly where he was headed. The iconic voice of Alice in Chains, a man whose haunting harmonies defined a generation, didn't just fade away. He chronicled his own demise. In his final years, he became a recluse, telling writer Adriana Rubio in a chillingly self-aware interview, "I know I'm near death. I did crack and heroin for years. I never wanted to end my life this way. I know I have no chance, it's too late." After his fiancée, Demry Parrott, died from an overdose, Staley retreated completely. He stopped eating solid food, subsisting on nutritional drinks, and his body began to fail, at one point even developing gangrene. For 2 years, his bandmates didn't hear from him. On April 19, 2002, his body was found in his Seattle apartment, having been there for 2 weeks. He had died on April 5th, the same day fellow Seattle icon Kurt Cobain had died 8 years earlier. The man who sang so powerfully about his demons was ultimately consumed by them, leaving behind a legacy as tragic as it was brilliant.
You know, when Kurt died, I remember the next day and thinking, I still get to live.
After the devastating end of Nirvana in 1994, Dave Grohl was at a crossroads. He was offered one of the most coveted gigs in rock, permanent drummer for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, a job he auditioned for by playing with them on Saturday Night Live, but Grohl turned it down. He had a different plan, one he didn't tell anyone about. He booked studio time and, in near total secrecy, recorded an entire album by himself. He played every single instrument on every track, save for one small guitar part from a friend. He called the project Foo Fighters, a World War II term for UFOs, hoping to release it anonymously. He never intended to be the frontman. He taught himself to play guitar by approaching it like a drum kit, seeing the strings as snares and cymbals. That solo project, born from grief and a desire to stay in the shadows, became the foundation for one of the biggest rock bands on the planet. The man who could have been a heartbreaker chose instead to build his own rock and roll heartland, one instrument at a time.
Went through all as much as I could, and reached the Quran at the end, and that just brought everything together.
In 1976, at the height of his fame, Cat Stevens went for a swim in Malibu and was pulled out to sea by a powerful riptide. Exhausted and facing death, he made a desperate plea. "I called out to God and he saved me," he later recalled. "A little wave came from behind and it was just simply pushing me forward." He made it back to shore, a changed man. Shortly after this brush with death, his brother gave him a copy of the Quran. This was the final piece of the puzzle. Within a year, the man born Stephen Georgeau, who had toured with Jimi Hendrix and nearly died from tuberculosis, made a decision that stunned the music world. He converted to Islam, changed his name to Yusuf Islam, and walked away from his career entirely. He put down his guitar, and for more than a decade, the voice behind Wild World and Peace Train was silent, dedicated instead to faith and family. The near drowning wasn't just a close call, it was a complete rebirth, leading one of the world's biggest stars to vanish into a new life.
Strangely enough, I think it's almost unprecedented that not only did I not do anything, they were not fans of mine.
For all the controversy Marilyn Manson has courted, the stage antics, the shocking lyrics, the accusations, one of the most disturbing truths about his life has remained largely hidden. It has nothing to do with removed ribs or the Columbine massacre, a tragedy he was wrongly blamed for. The real horror started in his childhood. Manson, born Brian Warner, has revealed that his mother suffered from Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a mental illness where a caregiver fabricates or induces illness in a person under their care. He believed he had pneumonia 6 times as a child and was plagued by severe allergies. Years later, he discovered it was all a lie, orchestrated by his own mother. He has only spoken about it publicly twice, and the revelation is conspicuously absent from his tell-all autobiography, The Long, Hard Road Out of Hell. It's a quiet, deeply unsettling truth that reframes the entire narrative of the man who built a career on shock value, suggesting the origins of his persona may lie in a place far darker and more personal than anyone ever imagined.
And I know it's growing strong.
In the mid-1960s, a young Neil Diamond was signed to Bang Records, a label with shady connections. He later said there were guys with broken noses helping to get his records played, and when counterfeit copies of his hits were discovered, the perpetrators allegedly ended up with broken legs. Despite the success of songs like Cherry Cherry, Diamond wanted more creative freedom. When he decided to leave the label, the threats began. He received calls warning him, "The FBI has word that the mafia is coming after you, be careful." The situation became so dire that Diamond started carrying a loaded handgun whenever he was in New York City for his own protection. The legal battle was intense, but things took a strange turn when the head of the label, Bert Burns, died suddenly of a heart attack at just 38 years old. A few months later, in March 1968, a court finally freed Diamond from his contract. The man known for his sparkling shirts and sing-along anthems had to fight his way out of the mob's grasp, armed with a gun, to build his legendary career.
And then I thought, well, why would I ever do it any other way? And I can't wait to try this with a heartbreak.
Tom Petty's final tour in 2017 was supposed to be a celebration. The Heartbreakers were marking their 40th anniversary, and at 66 years old, Petty was still delivering night after night. But just before the tour kicked off, he was diagnosed with a fractured hip. Most people would have postponed, rescheduled, maybe even canceled. Not Petty. He performed 53 consecutive concerts with a fracture that degraded into a full break, night after night, standing on stage, playing guitar through excruciating pain. On October 1st, 2017, the day he learned his hip had completely shattered, Petty went home. He didn't rush to surgery. He wanted to be home with his wife, Dana, and his dog. But the damage was done. During the tour, he'd been taking powerful prescription painkillers, fentanyl among them, to manage the agony. After the tour ended, he continued taking them. On October 2nd, 2017, just one day after learning about his broken hip, Tom Petty died from an accidental overdose. The man who'd spent his entire career refusing to compromise, who'd intentionally bankrupted himself to escape an unfair record deal, who'd voiced a character on King of the Hill just because he felt like it, ultimately couldn't compromise with his own body. His commitment to his fans cost him everything.
The only thing is, health permitting, we would like to tour a lot extensively in the next 12 months, and we'd like to bring out a new album of new material for our fans.
Dolores O'Riordan's voice was unmistakable, haunting, ethereal, and utterly distinctive. The Cranberries became one of the biggest bands of the 90s, with Zombie becoming an anti-war anthem during the violent troubles in Ireland and the UK. But success came with a price. O'Riordan revealed in interviews that the pressure of maintaining their massive popularity stressed her out immensely. She felt insecure, constantly anxious about keeping the momentum going. It wasn't until she became a mother that her perspective shifted. She realized what truly mattered: family, not chart positions or industry accolades. The band took a hiatus, and O'Riordan stepped back from the spotlight. In 2018, she died by drowning in a bathtub at a London hotel, a tragedy that shocked the music world. But here's the untold truth. When she died, the Cranberries were about to record a new album. They had vocal demos from her, and they were ready to enter the studio. At her funeral, her brother approached the remaining band members and asked them to finish it. Despite the raw grief, they agreed. Recording those sessions became therapeutic. Every time they heard O'Riordan's voice on the demos, they'd break down emotionally. The resulting album, In the End, was released in 2019 and earned the band their first and only Grammy nomination, a bittersweet final chapter for a voice that changed alternative rock forever. The Cars were born from a 1976 Boston showcase, but their origin story is far stranger than most people realize. Rick Ocasek and Benjamin Orr had been through multiple failed bands together: ID, Nirvana, Milkwood, Richard and the Rabbits, Captain Swing, before finally finding their sound. When they formed the Cars, they needed a name. Drummer David Robinson suggested it because, as he said, it was easy to remember and it wasn't pegged to a specific decade or sound. The name was meaningless and conjured up nothing, which was perfect. Ocasek also liked it because it came early in the alphabet, guaranteeing good placement in record stores. By December 1976, they'd played their first gig as the Cars. 2 months later, their demo of My Best Friend's Girl and Just What I Needed got massive airplay on Boston radio, attracting record label interest. They signed with Elektra and became the definitive band of the 1980s. But beneath the polished surface, tension was building. By the end of their last tour in the late 80s, Orr was traveling on his own bus, rarely speaking to Okasek. He was drinking a little too much, Okasek later admitted. They split in 1988, estranged. Fortunately, they reconciled in the late 90s while working on a DVD. Orr died of pancreatic cancer in 2000. Okasek paid tribute with a song called Silver. The Cars reunited briefly in the 2000s, but when Okasek died in 2019, the band's legacy was complete, a story of friendship, success, conflict, and ultimately redemption. From mob threats to divine intervention, the real stories behind these rock legends are more complex and compelling than any stage persona. They remind us that behind every iconic song and every sold-out show, there's a human story, full of struggle, strange coincidences, and profound transformation. The myths are entertaining, but the truth is unforgettable.